are fighting. However, the effects come to us because we trade with those countries. Thank you very much. Now, I am moving now and giving you some illustration of my finance contributions. The contributions to financial development was first seen when I was working at the University of Fort Hare, whereby the executive dean there asked me to represent him at the trust fund committee so that we decide about issues of funding for students. Then I was honored to have an academic exchange in Germany, where I taught a course which has got 8 credits to German students, and in the university called Friedrich Alexandra at Nuremberg in Germany in 2017 and 2018. The course, their time frames are not the same as our time frames. So the year, I think, starts September and somewhere in March somewhere. So we had to go there. I even brought Ncanywa with me there. I said, Ncanywa, accompany me. Husband. I brought my husband. And he was engaging, yes, because I was attending the seminars with him, and he was engaging there. And after, when we go back home, he will say, no. This is, I think they got a wrong perspective about South Africa here. Let's correct them. So I would be bold in the following day. So in there, I taught a course called Finance and Monetary Policy in South Africa. And when you teach in Germany, what happens is that you even start the course with course guide, with learning outcomes, everything you do it yourself. And then you send there. What I can make you laugh about is when my students, I think there's a picture of my students in my class, which is on page 17. Those are German students, and it shows that there's a diversity of students from Germany. Some were coming from Japan and all that. So you will see that picture there, and you can see me. I think you can identify me there. Yes. What was amazing when I gave them assessment. So when I assessed them, they were already I was already here in South Africa. So they gave them the assessment, then they sent the papers to me to mark. So one student here got 13 out of 15 from one question. And she got distinction. However, this student wrote to me and made me explain how did she lose the 2 marks. It was strange to me. That's what you experience when you deal with international students. Then I wrote back to Professor Kayla, who was hosting me there in Germany. I said, Prof, how do I deal with this? Because if the question is subjective, you can't give a full mark. At least this student, and then the student said, I've given you all the points that you taught us. So why am I not getting upon? So I was like, and then the professor gave me an advice and said, just answer her and say she's a distinction. Then after that one, she kept quiet. Then there is another platform I belong to, which is called academia. Then in academia, it comes to many times in my Gmail account. And then in academia, I have spotted out that the Minister of Finance, the current Minister of Finance, Mr. Godongwana, yes, has read 2 of my papers, as I have illustrated there. Right, so if you see there, I've put in the screen the snapshot of Godongwana, read your paper. can financial development influence economic growth? The sub-Saharan analysis. I like this because it shows that in Parliament, he has quoted some of my findings. Then he also read another paper, and this paper that he also wrote is the paper that I wrote with Professor Kayla from Germany, whereby we were talking about current account issues and its sustainability. And I've seen that Mr. Godongwana has also read this paper. So it shows that my papers or our contribution is also read at Parliament. That makes me happy. Then additionally, I've looked at my Google Scholar. Then I've seen that, I've updated this, I've seen that I've got about 333 citations. So that graph, the graph that is there, is showing the Google Scholar citation in the same slide, that one, and the paper that is Can Public Debt Stimulate Public Investment and Economic Growth in South Africa, which I wrote with Masocha, is having 91 citations yet. It's the top paper. Then while I was working at the University of Limpopo, I was very active in the issues of finance, especially with the government. And then we had portfolio meetings there that I belonged to, and they would invite me to read, to analyze, have an economic analysis on the budget speech. So I had that contribution as well. That is my best contributions in finance. Now, let me move to economic complexity. Firstly, let me explain what economic complexity is. Here, countries export products or goods, but they export goods that are not complex. They export goods that are not sophisticated. They export goods that are not diversified. So economic complexity means a country, when it exports its goods, it must export goods that are diverse and ambiguous, and also must export goods that are sophisticated. So that is what economic complexity means. Then, can you please show the screen? Then now, when you look there, you will see the issue of economic complexity. Let me start with the trend of South Africa in terms of economic complexity. The trend is shown by that graph on the far right. That graph shows that the economic complexity of South Africa, way back from 1998 to 2022, is declining. Can you see the graph is going down? And that is not good for our country. Because what we as economists now need to do is to provide solutions on how to make that graph goes up. Because countries need to have higher economic complexity to boost their economies. So if you look on the left, top left there, you will see the countries that are doing very well in terms of economic complexity. And Japan has been leading in economic complexity. Why? If you look at the two pictures, one South Africa, another one China. Do you see those pictures down there? If you look at those pictures, you will see that South Africa is exporting gold, ne? And it's a big box. And South Africa is exporting diamonds. I'm talking about big boxes. Then when you go to China, you see that there are no big boxes in China. And therefore, China has got a higher economic complexity than what? Than South Africa. What does that mean? It means South Africa is exporting gold as raw as it is. So economic complexity, you become complex when you process the goods and then export them as processed goods, especially into medicine. I was thinking about Professor Oyedeji here and her cannabis project, that if we are getting cannabis and then we are exporting this cannabis as raw cannabis, we are not economic complex. What we need the scientists like her to make those medicines. And then we export the processed medicine, the medicine now made from cannabis. So what makes our country not have a high economic complexity is because we are exporting. Our country is very rich, colleagues. However, we are exporting them as raw. So we need sophisticated products. The sophistication means, colleagues, we must put technology in. Rob in technology in whatever you are doing. South Africa is rich everywhere. In Limpopo, there is fruit, but they take the avocado and export it to China, and then in China, they transform the avocado into things that they sell back to South Africa. As much as China is taking our gold and process it and send it back at a very higher price in South Africa. Hence, we are not doing well in what? In economic complexity. Then when we rate South Africa is number 59 out of 133 most complex economies according to the Economic Complex Index, which we called ECI. And then you can get that information from the Atlas Economic Complex Index. Right. How did I know about this phenomenon of economic complexity? Since you heard Professor Ndlovu saying that I did a joint degree from the University of Fort Hare and University of Cape Town. So what happened when I registered my PhD at Fort Hare, then I got a DVC scholarship that I must go and spend a year at the University of Cape Town. And my study must be driven by University of Cape Town. Though when I'm going to graduate, I graduated at Fort Hare. So I always mention it in my CV that I did this joint degree. Then when I had there, I had a supervisor called Professor Harun Borat. Then when I left there, we did the study, we did everything. I left the University of Cape Town. But he followed me. And when I was at the University of Limpopo, he called me for an NRF project called Resilient Futures Bamboo something. Then that's when we learned about the issue of economic complexity, because what we were addressing in that project is the mining closure. When mines close, mines are closing in South Africa. So what we are doing there, we are providing economic solutions to the mines that are closed. So what we did now, we said, okay, we made an investigation that in China, they build they grow a tree called bamboo. And this tree can grow very well where the land is mining land, because those minerals, they go up the stem of the tree and then they make good things in the bamboo. And then that tree can be transformed and make medicine, make many things. So what we were doing in that project, we were addressing the issue of mining closure through agricultural production. That's when I learned the issue of economic complexity. And then immediately I learned about this economic complexity. I came to my department, I called my colleagues, my professor and my other grow your own timber. I've introduced the concept to them when we started rolling out. And I think many of the people that are externalizing our students there are seeing them. I've also implemented it here, Prof, at Water Sisulu, because I think now, last week I was submitting a master student that has got a topic on economic complexity, and my NEC is here, can attest to that. We have submitted a master student who's going to hope that can graduate this year, and is dealing with the topic of economic complexity. So even in the economics department of Water Sisulu, we have introduced the issue, I've introduced the issue of economic complexity. So, I am not going to bother you. I'm just going to show all the issues that we have investigated around economic complexity. The most one that I like very much is the one of economic complexity to boost the selected sub-Saharan African economies. I think you can also see Ombeswa again, there on the picture. She's here in person. And then I also have there behind her, Professor Mongale, who's a professor at the Department of Economics, and then my other Trigo Otimba. The one prof that beat me to the students is the one that is wearing a blue shirt there, Dr. Molele. Is the one that is there. And then also, Prof, for sophistication, here at Water Sisulu, I'm supervising a PhD student who's sitting there looking at me now. This student is dealing with the issue of learner academic performance in schools. Where is the sophistication here? The sophistication here is in the issue of the technology that the schools are using to collect data, which is called SA-SAMS. So SA-SAMS is a new technology in the schooling system, and we are using that data to investigate most of the things that are happening in the school. That is sophistication. So hence I've put it under the issue of economic complexity. And I wrote a paper which is published in a book here with Mr. Ncanywa and Ms. Vuyelwampiti, there they are. So that paper that you see there, Factors Affecting Learner Academic Performance, measured by the South African Schools Administration and Management System, SA-SAMS, is the paper that we wrote in a book here at Water Sisulu. Then, I moved, because when you apply, Prof, for the NRF rating, you reach a point where you have exhausted some of the things you are doing, and you need now to find a new angle. So my new angle is entrepreneurship. And Professor Nguza is laughing at me because we started this together at EDHE. EDHE is Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education, which is under the USEF. Then what we do then, we train student entrepreneurs in our universities. I've got success stories here, both at the University of Limpopo and here at Water Sisulu, because at the University of Limpopo, what I did, I started that project from scratch. There was no entrepreneurship there. And then through the colleague called Jimmy Mohale, which I want to recognize, we worked, he would come with students, we train students. And 2 times in a row, those students won the South Africa, the EDHE competition nationally. Then, when we were there, when I was there, I managed to call 2 ministers of small business. The other one was Ms. Lindiwe Sisulu, so Ms. Lindiwe Zulu, and then when she came, she addressed the deans of commerce in South Africa, whole South Africa. And then when she addressed those deans, her topic was on entrepreneurship development in all universities. That was beautiful. But we had a program, which is written here on the slide, called Student Training for Entrepreneurship Program, which is called STEP, which there was a collaboration between the Lifana University in Germany and also University of Limpopo. So what they did here, they trained us on teaching entrepreneurship. And I've got a short course that I was trained to teach entrepreneurship from this collaboration. So, when we are doing this, I came to Sisulu University. Immediately I came here. When my HOD, Mr. Makadana, took me to the former rector's office, which is Professor Nguza, then I found her sitting with Miss Bly. And then Mr. Makadana was saying, this is a new professor, njalo njalo. And then now, Professor Nguza said to Miss Bly, if you leave her, I'm telling you, you will miss the entrepreneurship. Okay. Then Miss Bly never missed me. She went to my office, she prayed and said, Prof, please, 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 let's do the entrepreneurship. So we decided to develop entrepreneurship at Ibika, which now we have also developed into other campuses as well. And from that one, from the beginning, we trained about 50 students at Ibika and staff members. And one of those students who is a success story now is there, Talita. There she is. Wave, Talita. Talita won a tier competition of 450,000. And she never stopped there. Now she told me a few weeks ago that, Prof, I've won 750 again. And her business is growing. And she's one of our recipients. And many more that are doing good things about that entrepreneurship here at Ibika. Before I move to this slide, I just want to introduce the lady that is there, Dr. Clark. Dr. Clark is heading entrepreneurship development in higher education in South Africa. In fact, I think she stepped down last year. And then now, she took us through this journey. Right. What am I doing in this entrepreneurship development? Here, we apply a methodology called participatory action research, whereby it's very simple. You teach people, in fact, you identify a problem somewhere that these people need some entrepreneurship skills. Then after that one, we teach them the entrepreneurship skills. Then after teaching them the entrepreneurship skills, we do an investigation of the impact of that program that we have done there. So the participatory action research means that you put an intervention where there is a problem. Then after putting the intervention where is the problem, you go and investigate what is the impact of the investigation, of the intervention you have done. So what we have done here, we have got this short course that I said I learned from the Lifana University in Germany. This course has got 12 modules. And the 12 modules are starting from first module, whereby the candidates or the participants, they identify problems from their surroundings. And from those problems, we develop them up to a point where they have a business plan. And from the business plan, they register their students, they start working. That's what Talita and others are doing. So through that module, and it's also found in the book, so I'm not going to read that one, it's also in the book, the program, on page 14. You can see it on page 14 on the book. Right. So what I did when I came here, I've trained the staff and students of Ibika campus. Then Mem Chacha took me to a DEF, a forum for the Department of Basic Education. We went there. Then she made me had to promise something. She said, I'm coming with a professor here. Then I said, okay. Then the people said, can the professor speak? Then I had to offer my short course. I said, colleagues, I can teach you entrepreneurship. Then the principal of King Yinza never missed the opportunity. What he did, he collected his staff. I'm not sure if he's here, but he was invited, and the King Yinza staff is also invited. And then what they did, we teach them that course, and now they are flourishing in entrepreneurship because we taught their staff members the same course. Then we never stopped there. In the research niche area that I'm leading in the university, which is called SICE in short, we trained the BCC students and the youth of Mdantsane at BCC, where the same course. And I was doing this with Dr. Makwembere and Dr. Mururi and Mr. Kabiso Ngabase. So we did this at the BCC, I think last year. Right now, when we went to another workshop or conference in Durban, and then I had an opportunity to introduce my DVCs. DVC from Water Sisulu and DVC from Limpopo. And then now, when the DVCs were talking, then the DVC of the University of Limpopo said, the DVC of Water Sisulu said, yeah, she's good in research. Then the one of Limpopo said, you don't know her in entrepreneurship. So they were talking about me there. And there was Mr. Kwebelele there in the midst, the manager at postgrad. When I come back, Mr. Kwebelele never stopped. He said, Prof, please train our masters and doctoral candidates. Then he called them, he organized. Then I ended up now training M&Ds at Water Sisulu University about entrepreneurship. Now, in the same niche area, in the same sub-niche area, I've got Professor Marongwe as a research niche area leader, whereby we have a passion from the Faculty of Education about curriculum development. So we apply the same. And then what we did here, we have called a workshop for all the former 12 faculties, whereby we asked for 2 colleagues from each faculty. We've put them in a workshop. I want to thank the former rectors because they supported that, and we were promised by Prof, director, senior director for teaching and learning that is going to fund us. Unfortunately, the funding was less, and the rectors helped us. And then we took these colleagues to a workshop, and where we did curriculum development. And then when we were doing this curriculum development, we were trying to show the colleagues that any course, any discipline can have entrepreneurial approach. That was the key. To introduce an entrepreneurial approach to curriculum development, whereby when you design your own learning outcomes, you check if they are innovative and creative. And what problems are they solving? Because we should be relevant to the society with whatever we are teaching. What we also wanted to achieve here was that when lecturers are teaching, they should see the relevance of what they're teaching to solving problems around the communities. Gone are the times when we teach American stuff in South Africa. So, the first thing there is just an example of the assessment we give to the participants of that workshop. It says, create a project for your students that addresses Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2063, and National Development Plans. The work should indicate creativity and be entrepreneurial in nature. And in our participatory action research, the colleagues that were in that workshop happened to present. It doesn't matter if you are coming from law or what, you will present this assignment. So they presented at plenary, and the deal, Prof, was that they must go back to their faculties and train more. I'm not sure if that is happening, but we did what we could do. Then when we were in that workshop, There was an active colleague there called Dr. Goli, Uneli. Then Dr. Goli, she was very active there. Then after the workshop, she called me and said, Prof, we want to write about what you taught us. Then I said, that's my style. Everything I do, I always write about it. And it makes life easy because you have done this thing. So we developed a book about the research niche area. And the book now, I think the acting director has signed and has approved the payment of that book, meaning that book is complete. And from that book, we have got chapters. For instance, if you read from the slides, the first chapter there is linking creativity and innovation of university curriculum transformation with sustainable development goals. So, if you look at that book, you will see that there are many writers for that chapter, because the writers of that chapter is the team from the sub-niche area. We wrote that paper. And in fact, from Professor Marongwe's sub-niche area, we have produced 8 papers last year. So this is one of those papers. And then the chapter 10 there is about prospects on the role of entrepreneurial skills on curriculum transformation, a case of one university in the Eastern Cape. That one is between us and my student, Ntolo, who has passed her honors and was supervised by myself and Mr. Ole. My contribution, building economies, is not stopping on entrepreneurship, economic complexity, and finance. It is also contributing to sharing skills of supervision in the university. We have built capacity. We are building high caliber postgraduate students because that is one of our strategic objectives. So, what are we doing to build that? If you see the picture on the left, last year, between the time the students finished the examination and their time of writing supplementary, the Vice Chancellor asked us, can you do something? Then what we did, we called about 200 students at NMD. So this is a picture of those students, whereby I had a team, Prof, of supervisors, building them for graduation. And now, I said in that meeting, there is going to be positive confusion in the graduation next year. And the deans can confirm that. So that is an example there. And if you can see, I'm also there, sitting there at the back, because one of my colleagues is facilitating there. And we do a practical approach. Students come, they have collected their data, they don't have a structure, they've got nothing, and they get out of there submitting. Sorry, Prof, last week, we are building at Watasisulu a system that we want it to flow for postgraduates. We want this system to flow. Gone are the times that we have students that are in the backlog. Students that are crying, saying that I have got ethical clearance that is never coming. Students that are saying I registered in 2017, I have not graduated even now. So what we have done now in the postgraduate unit, we said, let's demonstrate for the students who at master's and doctoral have registered in time. We did not even ask them from the deans. We said, let's go to Power Header and get them. Send the list to the deans and ask the deans to allocate supervisors. Then that happened. We took those students last week to East London. And then I just want you to see this picture. This picture on the right there. I'm sure you see me there. Those are the students that were there, masters. Some of them are here. I can see them there. Those students, let me tell you, you see there I'm not presenting because I've presented. I had 3 colleagues there that were fine-tuning these students. But what I can tell you, what is happening at that moment, those students are presenting proposals. They have got draft proposals. Then when we left there, they did what I have never seen, a time frame. And that time frame is saying by 30th of June, they must have ethical clearance in their hands. So, but I cannot do this on myself alone. I need the commitment of the whole university. I need the commitment of the supervisors. Just beginning of February, we have trained the supervisors. We asked the faculties to bring people so that can be supervised, have potential of being supervisors, and we train them so that they match these students we are also training, and then there is a flow. That's what we are trying to do. We want an efficient system here. Because in other universities, this is also happening. Students register this year, the following year they graduate. And I promise you, Prof, you will see my name many times in the MA graduation at master's level. I don't know. Because as much as I am appointed at the Faculty of Education, I am also supervising at the Faculty of Economic and Financial Services, the master's students at Economies. Because Professor Keen's Banda, there he is, he said when I arrived here, Prof, we are applying for a PhD program here and we want your CV and we want you also to help us. So I've helped them. So that's how we build Economies. The last slide. When I came here in Butterworth, I met Dr. Janji. I did not know that I'm going to be under her section at some time. So when I was sitting here, and she is Dr. Janji, so I said, you are doctor. What research are you doing? She said, I've got PhD in chemistry. Yes, I've got BSc in chemistry. Come, let's work together. So from her chemistry PhD, she used to work on issues of energy, of fuel cells. So I said, no, I can help you have this dream come true because we are going to do business plans together, and our business plan is done. What are we doing? We have got a project called Waste to Energy, whereby we are doing commercialization, because colleagues from entrepreneurship, to be innovative, we need our degrees to be commercialized. So this is one example of how we can commercialize our research. For instance, what we are doing there, we are commercializing green hydrogen production from crawl manure in the Eastern Cape. I just want you to look at that picture. You see the cattle, the pigs, the animals. Crawl manure means manure from animals. So we are anticipating here that we are going to collect manure from households and also those farms, because we need to have a sustainable economy here. So we are thinking, there are low-skilled people who are not educated. They will be involved here because we are going to have a company that is going to collect this manure. So we are going to have a factory here. And then in the factory, the scientists must come with their formulas, changing crawl manure, going through, you see, the biogas production. That's manufacturing. So the crawl manure will be separated, water, all those things there, and then after we do that one, we produce methane. Then from methane, we are going to produce hydrogen, because we went to a workshop whereby we saw bicycles driven by hydrogen and cars driven by hydrogen. So we want economic complexity, whereby we are going to produce hydrogen. I will tell you what is holding us from finishing this project, but we are trying to move. What holds us is that I joined Dr. Janji now as an administrative job. So it's difficult there in the administration to push this one. But what plan we did, what we have done now, we have collaborated now with the science faculty of natural sciences. So that, because we don't want this thing to die, we see a potential here. So we have collaborated with the Faculty of Natural Sciences so that we see the students of chemistry as the ones that are working in our factory from our university. We see now people having distribution of our hydrogen. So we see employment here. We see entrepreneurship here. We have done a business plan that is finance. So if you look at this project, you will see that we are integrating all my topics: finance, economic complexity, and entrepreneurship. And then we have managed so far to write 2 papers about the issue. So the first paper we have written is Commercialization of Research in Institutions of Higher Education, which is a transformative process which was published in a conference. Then the second one is Commercialization of Green Hydrogen Production from crawl manure in the Eastern Cape, and it's in the Journal of Energy in Southern Africa. I will allow the video to take place. It's a short video.
Welcome to Professor Thobeka's inaugural lecture, an exploration of building sustainable economies, navigating contemporary issues in finance, economic complexity, and entrepreneurship development. Within this lecture, our attention will be drawn to 5 pivotal topics: contributions to finance, economic complexity, entrepreneurship development, training and mentorship, and awards and achievements. Contributions to finance. The 2020 Economic Analysis of Limpopo Provincial Budget Speech. Prof. Thobeka says, debt. The MEC alluded to the challenge of increasing government debt. It should be borne in mind that the revenues are constituted by tax collected and funds borrowed, public debt, given that some taxes are not adjusted by the Minister of Finance. To manage expenditure, the government must use the alternative source of funding, hence resorting to borrowing. This will lead to more budget deficit and hence decrease in economic growth. Based on the national estimated revenue collection of about 1.58 trillion rands announced by Minister of Finance, Honorable Tittle Mboweni, against the projected spending of 1.95 trillion rands, the MEC realized that the government had to embark on some policy adjustments in both the monetary and fiscal sectors. This is welcomed especially since South Africa is in recession in the business cycle. Framework for Development of Post-COVID-19 Financial Sustainability for the University of Limpopo. The project developed a more efficient revenue cost model that factors in the reduced financial resources available to the university. The project also developed a framework for attracting new partnerships and collaborations to generate a better reputation and revenues for the institution. The project investigated new and innovative ways this university can leverage technological advancements to better position itself and generate revenue. Professor Thobeka presented in an international conference at Mauritius. The role of house prices in the monetary policy transmission mechanism of South Africa. Roundtable with the Eastern Cape Premier, Mr. Mabwayan. Parsable solutions proposed by Prof. Thobeka. Premier's project on entrepreneurship development in the province to boost infrastructure. Investment in government social infrastructure and public corporations' infrastructure can positively influence economic complexity. It can be recommended that there should be policies to support industrial development that target incentivizing economic infrastructure development. The development should prioritize specific geographical areas, such as special economic zones, to improve the lives of citizens, boost the economy, attract foreign direct investment, and create jobs. Economic complexity to boost the selected sub-Saharan African economies. Journal of Economic and Financial Sciences. Research approach/design and method. This study employed the autoregressive distribution lag (ARDL) model to analyze a panel dataset, which includes 8 sub-Saharan African countries for the period 1994 to 2017. Main findings. We found that economic complexity can reduce income disparities. Practical/managerial implications. Sub-Saharan African countries should shift their productive capabilities and resources from primary to sophisticated products in the manufacturing and services sector to increase economic complexity and reduce inequality. Entrepreneurship development. The University of Limpopo's closing function training for entrepreneurship facilitators and students was honored by the Minister, Ms. Kumbuzo, who gave them startup resources for their SMEs. This is a photograph studio set up by students in an entrepreneurship open day at the University of Limpopo. Ms. Ambeswarala, Prof. Thobeka, and Mr. Jimmy Mohali were the entrepreneurship organizers of the open day. Professor Thobeka presenting at the Entrepreneurship Lek Gotlo at University of Cape Town. Professor Thobeka spearheaded the implementation of a dynamic entrepreneurship short course at Walter Sisulu University's Abika campus, supported by the collaborative efforts of Ms. Bly and Professor Balalwa. The training proved transformative, igniting a success story exemplified by Ms. Talita, one of its empowered students. Professor Thobeka conducted comprehensive training sessions aimed at enhancing entrepreneurship skills among master's and doctoral students at Walter Sisulu University. Professor Thobeka's adept guidance equipped staff from Ncanywa College with invaluable entrepreneurship skills. Following the training, the college surged ahead, engaging in national competitions and pioneering the development of a bespoke entrepreneurship course for its students. Captured in the frame is the esteemed principal of Ncanywa College, alongside Professor Thobeka and a panel of distinguished judges, presiding over an exhilarating entrepreneurship competition tailored for technical vocational education and training colleges. Staff and students from Walter Sisulu University, joined by their esteemed counterparts from Ncanywa College, were bestowed with certificates of commendation in recognition of their outstanding achievements in entrepreneurship, training, and mentorship. Professor Thobeka conducted an illuminating session, imparting advanced econometrics and research prowess to postgraduate students, faculty members, and budding researchers alike. In a snapshot, Professor Thobeka stands at the helm, delivering a comprehensive training session to supervisors from Walter Sisulu University, embodying expertise and leadership in the academic realm. Professor Thobeka, alongside esteemed colleagues including Professors Sish and Marangwi, as well as Drs. Nkabini, Nangelo, and Makubila, and Ms. Thobeka, collaborated to conceive a groundbreaking literary work, epitomizing collective intellectual prowess and scholarly collaboration. Faculty representatives underwent training focused on an entrepreneurial approach to curriculum development within the research niche area of sustainable development and contemporary issues in society and education, a sub-niche overseen by Professor Ncanywa. This workshop resulted in the production of 8 articles under Professor Ncanywa's direction, while a book was spearheaded by Professor Thobeka and Dr. Nelly. In this photograph, Professor Thobeka is depicted in her role as one of the judges assisting in the selection of enactus students for participation in national competitions. Professor Thobeka conducted a refined training session for honors students and supervisors at the University of Venda, focusing on the meticulous finalization of their research projects. Workshop aimed at refining procedures for honors programs. In closing, we will be looking at awards and achievements. Professor Thobeka achieved the prestigious honor of being named the Productivity Cell Limpopo Provincial winner in 2020, marking her department as the epitome of productivity and competitiveness within the public sector. Productivity SA, established as a Schedule 3A company under the Employment Services Act, is dedicated to enhancing South Africa's sustainable growth, development, and employment through increased competitiveness. The Department of Economics at the University of Limpopo, under Professor Thobeka's leadership, exemplifies these values, demonstrating remarkable productivity and competitiveness. In 2019, Professor Thobeka was honored as the top female researcher in the VC Awards at the University of Limpopo. Thank you for watching.
I just want to acknowledge that the video was done by my colleague, Lwandle, Mr. Lwandle. You can stand up, Mr. Lwandle, so that the VC can see you. The video was donated by him to me, my staff member. Then lastly, Prof, let me do some acknowledgements. Firstly, I am going to acknowledge the Walter Sisulu University community. I got a lot of love and support immediately I arrived at Walter Sisulu University. Thank you very much for welcoming me. Then, first up, I'm going to acknowledge Professor Mongale from the University of Limpopo. He's my mentor. He taught me many things from the university. We worked together. He even became my brother. Then I've got Professor Borat, who was my supervisor in my PhD. And the one that I even explained that he introduced the issue of economic complexity to me. Then, sitting there, I've got Professor Ma from the Northwest University. We come way back together. We started seeing each other when we were in the ERSA workshop in Johannesburg. We were presenting. Prof, we were fighting, me and her there, because we were women against the gurus of economics, and they were dashing our papers down and all that. So we were like, let's fight, girl. And then, and she is also a full professor, and she was supervised by Professor Mongale. So, and even when I called the workshop for postgraduates at the University of Limpopo, I called her as one of my guest lecturers. So we come way back. And now she is in my inaugural lecture. Thank you, Prof. Then I've got Professor Sibula, who was my director at the University of Limpopo, and he also has a lot of passion on research, and he taught me many things on research. Then I've got the Dr. Clark, who introduced the issue of entrepreneurship to me and to other colleagues in South Africa. I've got Professor Ncanywa, who opened doors for me in terms of supervision and also in terms of externalization, and introduced me to the university, Nelson Mandela University, whereby I think he trusts me very well, especially when it comes to econometrics, because I worked with him at the University of Fort Hare, and he witnessed how I make students pass. because I always fight for my students. I want productivity, Prof, and output. I've got Professor Skal, who is a professor of health sciences. She is in Sifako Mogato now, but I worked with her at the University of Limpopo. We were like working like twins there, because every time, everywhere she is, I'm also there. So people were asking, where is she if they don't see me? All right, because she was a supporter. It's not easy, colleagues, to work in an area where you don't know the language. And she was my pillar of strength, because she was also coming from Eastern Cape. And then I've got Professor Kayla, who wrote I thought at that time he exaggerated the report he gave when I went to Germany. But I believe it now, that it was the truth. He was my mentor at university in Germany, and we even wrote a paper together after that one. I've got two colleagues, number 9 and number 10, which is Professor Sibanda and Dr. Mlambo. Prof, I decided not to mention the input colleagues from Water Sisulu, because there are many, and I'm loved by many people here. But I decided to mention Professor Sibanda, because this book is here because of him. He wrote my speech. This book. So he called Dr. Mlambo, and Professor Sibanda was working under the department I was leading at the University of Fort Hare, when I was at the University of Fort Hare. So, because I was a deputy HOD there, and then he was doing a PhD that time there. So when he came here, he came before me. So when I came here, he said, no, Prof, you can't hide. We know you. Thank you very much, Prof. Sibanda. There he is, Prof. Wave again, Prof. Sibanda, because the TV is on you now. Thank you. And he asked Dr. Mlambo from Mangosuthu University of Technology. Lastly, Prof, let me leave you, because my husband is a priest, and therefore I'm the wife of a priest. I need to put the word of God and say I relate to research with God. I moved this journey with God. With my family support, with my colleagues supporting me, and all academics. So, I just want to share with you that if you treat research as this book of Corinthians, chapter is patient and kind. That's research. Love does not envy or boast. That's research. If you treat research that it is not arrogant or rude, does not insist on its own way, you must share research. You must always, if you want to love research, share it with other people. It will make you more powerful. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. If we keep that with research, we will enjoy research and make research a lifestyle. Don't stress yourself with research, make it a lifestyle. Those that write with me, they know. Sometimes we go to Nando's and write in style. Thank you very much, Prof.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't hear that round of applause. Can we make it louder? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, those that have worked with the Professor Ncanywa, I've not worked with her for a long time. But once Professor Ncanywa stands behind the mic, you'll be captured. You know, she's got this energy, which I think it becomes contagious to even the students that she works with, that there is no way that it's not going to happen. You know, when we have to sign things, she asked me, Prof, is there a problem? I thought that should have been signed yesterday. Why is it not signed? So to her, it feels like everything should have been done yesterday. And I think it's a testimony of how passionate she is about human capital investment. And when she said diseases must stand up, I thought, well, I'm going to stand up even if I'm convicted, because kaloku, fear of missing out, you know? So colleagues, I'm sure you will agree with me. I don't want to repeat and be overgrazing. I thought that speech was really magnificent. And I think, VC, it's a testament of this whole idea that there are great things at WSU, but they need to be unearthed. And today, it's confirming that there are greater things that are going to happen. And Prof. Ncanywa has just exemplified the amount of work that she has done. She's so vivacious. She's so energetic. She's an intellectual giant. And that, to me, is something that actually gets me, you know, shivering, that, you know, she's done so much within a short space of time. But I don't want to now venture into things that have not been requested to do, because there are people that are really assigned to do these things. I'm going to invite now Professor Giselma from the Northwest University to please come to the floor and provide us with an academic response. Over to you, Prof. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Program Director. And all protocol observers. I'll start the Vice Chancellor present here, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, dear students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Prof, for this wonderful lecture. You know, at times it's difficult for me at this stage to respond to such a great magnitude. A great woman, a positive energy. Indeed, when I listen at all what happened, I'm like, but is it the person I've known all those years? Because indeed, Prof, you are a change machine. You are a goal-getter. You are a guru. You are a scholar. I don't even know how to make that. But I just want to say thank you for this powerful lecture. I've known Prof. Ncanywa since 2015, like she said. It's 2015, Prof, and we clicked. And if you notice, we are a bit loud. And we talk. And what brought us again more together was the econometrics, the economics, and later on she introduced me to entrepreneurship. So as I want to, today what I'll do is I'll respond to her lecture, but I'll focus on two aspects. And my first aspect on the lecture will be, if you see from the lecture, she defines some terms. She talks a bit about the economic complexity, entrepreneurship, and all of that. But one thing I picked on her lecture, which I want us as we think, as we are concluding, is that when you look, she looked at the economic issues, she looked at the complexity, she looked at how to solve those economic issues, looking at the finance part, the economic complexity, and the entrepreneurship, on how to bring about solution. And when you look at what she explained, she is targeting, handling this, the economic development, the social development goals, which she mentioned, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. And when you see, she started with the financial part, the various financial aspects, the financial challenges. She explained that, how to use that to be able to solve and acquire a sustainable economic development goal. She later on went to economic issues. And on those economic issues, she focused on other economic factors. She looked at educational matters, monetary policies, investment, and entrepreneurship on how to create opportunities in South Africa in particular. And she did not only present that lecture as you heard her, she has published papers. If you go to her 2019, she has 2 papers in 2019 and 1 in 2022, where she published about using this aspect to solving and bringing and creating opportunities, job opportunities in South Africa. When we proceed to what she did, from what we all saw, we saw her training, both the masters and the PhD student, the entrepreneurs, and all of what she mentioned. It is really a great encouragement. And something, Prof, which stood out for me as well, is a unique niche area which you have. Remember, we are economists. But not only looking at the economy with the lens of an economist, but looking at it with the eye of an entrepreneur. Looking at it with a complex issue which are pertain to our day-to-day life. It made this lecture more relevant and bringing about solutions on how do we move from here and take South Africa from one level to another. So based on that, I'm like, wow, thank you, well done, Prof. And when she went further also, she looked at South Africa. If you look at South Africa is a bit complex in the fact that it's multiracial. There are different race, there are different culture, there are different sectors in the economy of segregation. But she has done some work there where she even looked at the level of inequality, unemployment, and poverty. And to her, a way to bring solution to this differences was to look at the intersections. And that is why you saw Prof. Ncanywa mention the fact that she will work with someone in biology, she will work with someone, irrespective of your field, she bring all of them together, because for you to solve a problem, especially an economic issue, you cannot solve it alone. It needs to come from people from various fields. People from various fields. She further went about to develop, like we saw, a short course on entrepreneurship. She explained to say, you mentioned the aspect of export where she explained the export complexity to say once we export gold without processing it, it goes out at a cheaper price, it comes back at a more expensive price back to us. Why don't we have to diversify our export and develop a competitive advantage market as a South Africa economy so that whatever resources we have in South Africa, it will go out there to better the economy of South Africa. And there is also another aspect where she emphasized on education, entrepreneurial education. And she has also published some papers there where she mentioned that a way to come out of some of this complexity was to look at research and use the participative approach of teaching this entrepreneurship, of getting involved in this entrepreneurship. It should be a participative approach. And I remember with the example where she mentioned the fact that you need to train those, you need to empower them. You come later on, you taste to see what is the impact of that and come. So those are some of the solutions. And the theory where she based all what she used is the change theory. And what does this change theory says is you can bring in transformation based on the input. So if you invest for the future, you will be able to have a platform where you'll be able to address certain pressing economic issues. And we see she is that woman, that professor, who is involved in the communities. She's involved in community engagement at every level. I'm like, at times, where did she get that energy? So one thing, as I will wrap up with my notes today to conclude, is that from what she mentioned, she is recommending that in order to address this and have a sustainable economy, through, she mentioned finance, economic complexity, and entrepreneurship, the following needs to be done. The first one was empowering individuals with skills, knowledge, and attitude necessary to tackle the interconnected global challenges which we all face today. Secondly, even when we look at research, we should look at the inequality, poverty, the environment, the degradation, the socio-economic development, as well as the broad cultural and political aspect. And when we look at it, we should not just look at it from the economic side of it. We should look at it, work with a team of experts from different fields. The other aspect was to incorporate this entrepreneurial skills into curriculum, such that once we develop our curriculum design, there should be entrepreneurship there, whereby it will empower individuals to start their businesses and contribute positively to the broader economy. She also mentioned that it's not enough to just have that knowledge about the business, but also we should go further to integrate that teaching, research, community engagement. And that is where she mentioned even the system which they are putting in place at WUSO now. So that was another thing. And another aspect was creating that culture of entrepreneurship and promoting job creation. We should not only be a university where we train people, we empower people, but how do we also teach them to say, yes, you have a degree in 1, 2, 3, but what business can you also do? What entrepreneurial skills can you also as well do? That needs to be done. And by creating that culture of the entrepreneurship that will promote job creation, resilience, and inclusive growth, that will be able to take our economy into a sustainable level. And one thing she kept emphasizing that stood out for me as well is working together. Not as an individual, not in just a specialty or working alone. She kept saying working together, bringing everyone on board and seeing how we put our minds together and take this economy to another level. And the last part was the aspect of research, where she emphasized on research, excuse me, and you'll see with her students where she doesn't take no for an answer. Like the case where she mentioned with the Limpopo, that department for many years, you couldn't see graduate. But after that period of that, even from Limpopo, you started seeing the number of masters and PhD graduating, as well as she mentioned in WUSU. That passion for research, where it should be something you wake up to eat. You sleep, when you think, whatever you do, that research part should be, and that love to be able to reach to better the life of the other person. So that is a bit of summary of her lecture. The second part, which I want to bring also as well, is just to say, Prof, thank you so much for this powerful lecture and for contributing to the body of knowledge, the economic, this way. At times we look at economic just as looking at economics with econometrics, but bringing it to look at it with the entrepreneurial skill lens that solve our day-to-day problem was a great thing for us today. And I wish everyone should take that home today to say we can't solve that without having this entrepreneur to say, this is the issue, how do we handle it, and bringing each other together. And I also want to thank you for having the heart for the people and mentoring them, mentoring the young ones, making it possible that even a young student to say, I can have a master's degree, I can have a PhD degree is doable. We got that as well from your lecture. And also, I just also want to say, seeing you being a woman, a wife, a mother, a mamuruti. It's a great thing. You know, at times we are in a world where at times you say, because I'm a woman, I'm limited. We have all seen it's possible. There is no limitation, irrespective of your gender. What drives you is your passion. Is your commitment, is your hard work. So we want just to say, Prof, we thank you. And thank you as well for pulling me along. Because at times when I get tired, when I see you running, I'm like, no, let me pick up and start following you. And at times she will tell me, she said, Prof, where are you? No, let's do this. Come, let's do this. I'll be like, but Prof, let's do this. You see, this is how you do. And she instructs and she directs you. If you do it, you get it right. Then you sit like, but why? How come I didn't say this? To say, thank you, Prof, for that. And especially in a world where being a woman is a challenge, a black woman is an African woman, but you could still stand this tall. It's really a great thing to many of us who look at you and many women who look at you today. But I'll also continue to also thank one person, which is your husband. When you see most great successful women, they succeed because of the men they got married to. And you are who you are because of him. So I'm really so grateful to say it shouldn't stop a man from getting married or allow women to go into academia. Because once there's that support from your husband and children, nothing can stop us. So we can do it. And Prof, thank you so much. And thanks to your family and husband for this opportunity to say, and for this great lecture and a new light to say we can change South Africa. We can solve our complex issues by not only looking at it from the economic point of view, but we should have that entrepreneurial mind in our curriculum, in our skills, and in every aspect. And also to see that even if you have a degree in sciences, you can still be an entrepreneur. It's not just for commerce, but it is across every field of study. So on that note, I would just say thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ma. it's not my job to thank you. Somebody will execute that task at a later stage. But can I please ask Prof. Ncanywa and VC, please don't go back to your seats. Please be so kind. Please be so kind and start making your way forward. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please invite our Vice Chancellor and Professor Ncanywa to come forward for the award that we are just about to do. Please come closer.
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Professor Ncanywa, I've been asked to present you your first present for you to look at each time you reflect on your journey to being a full professor. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, VC. Thank you so much. Moving right along, colleagues, the program is almost done. It feels like it's taken like literally 30 minutes. Was it because of you, Prof. Ncanywa, with your, jokes and everything else? I'm now going to invite colleagues, Dr. Mbiti, to come and deliver a congratulatory message to Professor Ncanywa. Thank you very much. Over to you, Doc. Do you need the...
Thank you, Program Director. Okay. Vice Chancellor, Professor Roshil Nolondisonga, I acknowledge your presence. The family of Professor Ncanywa, you are also acknowledged. Executive management of Walter Sisulu University, the university community represented in all formations, we are also acknowledged. I feel very honored, Professor Ncanywa, to be chosen to render a congratulatory message to you. Usisisele Senyathi, I didn't know that, but today I really acknowledge you. You have rendered a speech that is needed by the South Africans. We need women like you in South Africa. Today marks a celebration of your academic achievement, significant research, and the journey of academic life that you have shared with us today. By working with you and listening to your presentation, one is left with no doubt that your performance, your hard work, cannot be consolidated comprehensively in one piece of paper. One must engage with you in a forum like this and appreciate the mental knowledge and intellectual prose that you personify your character. It is with great attitude that I want to unreservedly congratulate you to achieving the academic milestone by ushering your inaugural lecture. Giving us such an important lecture isn't easy, but you made it appear very easy. Congratulations, Zizikazi. Congratulations, Madlamini, Jamakasjadu, Mabeche, Panise, Ngibenoboya, Fakade, Katsini, Mtikitiki, Bengu, Nonyathi, Thixo akusikelele, akunyusele phezulu. We have learned a lot working with you in this journey. Aunamona. You are a mother. You are a woman of God. You don't talk, you act. We have learned a lot from you. Today, we will be graduating so many honor students because of you. It's a milestone. It's a milestone at Walter Sisulu University. I picture our Vice Chancellor sitting on that chair, blessing all those postgraduate students because of your sleepless nights. Thank you very much. You are indeed a leader. You are indeed a leader. Continue to do the good work. The South Africa is waiting for women like you. We are learning a lot in each and every day in your life. Thank you very much, Mahlamini. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ish, that message was touching, ne? Very close to the heart. Could you feel it? Could you feel it? I think it is a testimony that to Prof Ncanywa, how he connects with these students. I say it all the time, that he really touches, the sensitive part that makes people to really feel the importance of what they are doing. Let me invite now, please don't sit yet, Prof Mdubanguza. I'm going to invite Professor Mdubanguza now to really come and deliver a vote of thanks, to thank everybody that has really come out here today to witness this wonderful day. Prof, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. Help me welcome Prof, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, the Chancellor of Walter Sisulu University, Ms. N. Koboto, the Chairperson of Council, Advocate Ncanywa, the Honorable Council members, the Vice Chancellor and Principal of Walter Sisulu University, Professor Rashela Nolundi Songqa, Executive and Senior Management of the University, my colleagues, students, the choir, Ncanywa family from both sides, and distinguished guests, including our academic respondent, Professor Ma from Northwest University. Good evening to all gathered here and those attended online. It is both honor and privilege to stand before you tonight to express our heartfelt thanks for the inaugural lecture presented to us. Professor Ncanywa, thanks so much for the inspirational presentation that you gave us today. We also thank your family for allowing you to work with us at our beloved university, as well as providing you with all the support that you need. I extend my deepest appreciation to you, Vice Chancellor Professor Songqa, for introducing these inaugural lectures, because it's the first of its kind at our university. Your vision and commitment for enhancing excellence in all respects of our university is steadily realized. Keep on doing the best. To the council members who have graced this event with their presence out of their busiest schedules, I take this golden opportunity to thank you all for your presence. To all the speakers in the program, we appreciate your speeches that motivated us all. To all of us in the room, as well as online, including the choir that sang so beautifully. We thank you very much for your attendance. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, our Butterworth Choir has recently won the 2023 OR Tambo Provincial Choral Competition. Again, they won the Amatole District Municipality Choral Competition. And lastly, they became position number 3 in the overall in higher education choral, in higher education institutions performing arts festival last year. Well done, our choir. We are so proud of you. Once again, I would like to thank the organizers of this function for your efforts and hard work for this fantastic job you put together harmoniously for this event. Thank you very much. To you, Program Director, thank you, sir, for bringing this event to life. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, friends, family, I don't want to say unfortunately, but I'm going to say unfortunately our program has come to an end. And it doesn't look like you want to move from where you are seated, do you? No, you don't. But we've got other things that we need to go and do. But colleagues, I think it really confirms what a beautiful day it's been. You know, there's nothing beautiful than celebrating success. We've become accustomed in meeting like this to, not to celebrate, but to really share somber things that happen in our lives. But today was rather different, positivity, energy, and I liken today, I think today looks like Prof Ncanywa's character, isn't it? You know, Prof Ncanywa, there's no dull moment with her. I don't care whichever day it is, you know. So I think today was really beautiful, and we are grateful that it really it came together nicely. I would like to make a few announcements, colleagues, friends, family. There is cocktail that is being served, I think in the lobby here or in the foyer. So we are going to please request you, please don't leave without having grabbed something to nibble on. And let's interact, let's socialize. You've heard Prof Ncanywa saying we must collaborate and we must network. So it's an opportunity for us to meet and maybe discuss few ideas going forward. And then I think that leaves us there, unless Ms. Tukwayo, I'm leaving anything out. May I please request the choir, the procession is about now to exit the venue. Can you please just ready yourselves? Yeah, Nkosi Sikeleli Africa, please, beautiful choir of ours, thank you very much. We are going to be proceeding this way and that way. I think Usis Fundi has prepared for us to take off these warm things in the boardroom at the bottom. Thank you very much, colleagues. Give yourselves a round of applause. Lovely, great stuff, thank you. Can we wait for the choir, please, before we exit the venue? Thank you very much. May we all please rise. Thank you so much.